The forest was silent at first. Only the soft sound of wind moving through tall blue trees filled the air. Alex, a human scout from Earth, walked carefully through the jungle floor of the alien planet Zalera. His boots left marks on the soft moss, and his hand stayed close to the weapon on his belt. He had been sent alone to explore this part of the planet. Reports said no intelligent life lived here, but the map was old. And Alex never trusted maps made from orbit. He checked his scanner again, nothing. Just trees, hills, and strange heat. Signals from small animals. Then it happened, a scream. It tore through the silence like a sharp blade, high-pitched, long, and filled with pain and fear. It didn't sound like any animal he had ever heard. It sounded human, or at least close. Alex froze for a second, heart beating faster. Then the scream came again, this time shorter, weaker. He moved, fast. Every step was careful but quick. He pushed aside thick alien plants and ducked under glowing vines. His ears followed the direction of the sound, again and again, until he saw something strange ahead. Smoke. A thin line of dark smoke rose from the trees, carrying the smell of fire and burnt wood. Alex dropped to one knee and crept forward. His soldier training kicked in. He used the trees as cover, staying low, hiding his presence. Soon he heard voices deep. Guttural chants in a language he didn't know. The drums began next, slow and rhythmic. Boom, boom, boom. Alex reached the edge of a clearing. He peeked through the bushes. And what he saw made his blood freeze. In the center of the clearing stood a tall wooden structure made from sticks and bones. A large fire burned below it, and tied across a spit, above the flames, was a young alien girl. Her skin was pale lavender, marked with cuts and bruises. Her hair was long and tangled. Her arms and legs were tightly bound, and her body turned slowly over the fire. Too far to burn, but close enough to feel the heat. She wasn't dead. Her chest rose and fell weakly. Her face was twisted in pain. Around her danced a group of tribal aliens. Their bodies were painted in mud and blood, wearing bone necklaces. In leaf skirts, they sang louder and louder, throwing herbs and stones into the fire. Alex couldn't believe what he was seeing. They weren't cooking her for food. It was something worse, a ritual, a sacrifice. His hands clenched into fists. He looked at the alien girl again. Her eyes were closed, lips dry and cracked. She looked so young, so helpless. Then suddenly, her eyes opened, slowly, painfully. She turned her head and looked directly at him. For one long second, their eyes locked. She didn't speak. She didn't scream again. But her eyes said everything. Help me. Alex felt something shift inside him. He had seen death before, in battles and wars. But this felt different. This wasn't a soldier. This wasn't an enemy. This was someone innocent. Someone who had been thrown into horror without a choice. He pulled back slowly, his mind racing. He had no backup, no communication signal in this deep jungle. His rifle was charged, but there were too many of them, mate. Maybe 10 tribal aliens. He could run back and call for help, but by the time anyone came, she'd be dead. The drums grew louder. The chants turned to howls. Alex looked again. The fire was getting bigger. The alien girl's skin had started to sweat and glow from the heat. She was slipping again into unconsciousness. He knew what he had to do. He reached into his belt and pulled out a small plasma flare. It wasn't a weapon, but it made a lot of noise and light. He counted in his head. 1.2. 3. He threw the flare into the far side of the clearing. Boom. The flare exploded with a blinding flash and a loud bang. The tribal aliens screamed and stumbled back in confusion. Alex didn't wait. He jumped from the trees and ran straight into the fire circle. One tribal alien reached for him. Alex elbowed him in the face, knocking him out cold. Another raised a club. Alex ducked and kicked his legs, sending him to the ground. He reached the spit, pulled out his knife. and cut the girl free in 2 quick slices. Her body was light. Too light, he lifted her over his shoulder, ignoring the pain in his back. Then he ran. Through the trees, through the firelight, into the shadows of the forest. Behind him, the drums beat wildly. The hunt had begun. Alex ran like he never had before. The alien girl hung over his shoulder. Weak and silent, her body felt fragile, too light for someone her size. The heat from the fire still clung to her skin, and her breathing was shallow. Behind him, the jungle echoed with wild cries. The tribal aliens were chasing him, roaring like animals. The drums had stopped, but now the sound of their footsteps was even louder. Alex dodged trees, jumped over roots, and slid through thick vines. His legs ached, but he didn't stop. His only goal was distance, to get far away before they caught up. He spotted a fallen log ahead and ducked behind it, pressing his body low, with the girl still in his arms. He covered her with his cloak and held his breath. 3 tribal aliens ran past. Their eyes glowing in the dark, one paused, sniffed the air, then ran again, deeper into the trees. Alex waited 10 more seconds. Then he stood, holding the girl in both arms now, and moved in the opposite direction. He needed shelter. He remembered seeing a cave marked on the old scout map, not far from here, if he could find it. They might have a chance to rest. Soon, the ground changed. The forest floor turned rocky and damp. He found the cave hidden behind thick hanging vines. It looked small from the outside, but inside it stretched deeper. Dry and dark, Alex stepped inside and gently placed the girl down on the stone floor. Her skin was red in places, and there were cuts all over her body. Some burns were fresh, others were old scars. Her long hair stuck to her cheeks. Her eyes opened, slightly eschewing, looked confused. "You're safe now," Alex whispered, kneeling beside her. "They won't find us here." She blinked slowly, her lips moved, but no words came out. He opened his emergency pack, took out a small water pouch, and gently lifted her head. She drank only a few sips before closing her eyes again. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Nia." She whispered, voice dry like dust. He smiled. "I'm Alex." Nia tried to sit up, but winced in pain. Alex stopped her gently. "Don't move yet. You're hurt." She looked around the cave, fear still in her eyes. They were going to burn me. "I know," he said. Jaw tight. "I saw it." Nia began to shake, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Her body trembled not just from pain, but from fear. Alex pulled out a small heat pad and placed it beside her to warm her body. Then he used a soft cloth to clean her wounds. One by one, at first, she flinched every time he touched her. But slowly, she relaxed. "They took me from my village," she whispered after some time, "sold me to raiders. Then the tribe found me. They said I was a spirit gift, meant for fire." Alex clenched his fists. "That's not going to happen again." She turned her face toward him, eyes wide. "Why did you help me?" He thought for a moment, then replied, "Because no one else did." Silence filled the cave for a while. Only the soft sound of rain falling outside could be heard. Alex leaned back against the wall, watching the entrance carefully. His rifle rested beside him, ready. Nia fell asleep, breathing softly, curled on the heat pad like a child. But Alex didn't sleep, not even for a second. He knew they would be looking for her. He had seen that madness in their eyes, the kind that didn't forgive or forget. His mind worked fast, planning their next move. He would have to keep moving by morning. Maybe try to reach the old ruins he passed earlier. Suddenly, Nia woke up. With a soft gasp, "Don't leave me," she said, gripping his sleeve. "I won't," he promised. "I'll protect you." Her hand didn't let go. Even when she went back to sleep, Alex sat there, still as stone, listening to every sound in the forest, Somewhere far in the distance, a drumbeat echoed once again, slow and steady. They were still hunting, but this time he wasn't running alone. This time he had someone to protect, and Alex had never let anyone down when it mattered most. The soft glow of morning light slipped through the vines at the cave entrance. Alex sat beside the fireless warmth pad. Watching over Naya, she was still asleep, her face calm now. No fear in her breath. He hadn't slept. His eyes were tired, but his mind stayed sharp, always listening, always thinking. He had placed traps outside the cave-thin wires connected to noise bombs. Just in case, Naya stirred. Slowly opening her eyes, she blinked at the ceiling, then looked to her side. Surprised to still be alive. "You stayed," she whispered. Alex nodded. "I told you I would." She sat up with effort, groaning softly. As her back ached, Alex handed her a water pouch, and she drank slowly this time. No longer gasping, for a moment, they sat in silence. Only the birds outside made sound. Then Nia spoke again, this time stronger. "I was taken when I was 12. Alex turned to her, listening closely. "They came from the sky, ships shaped. Like claws, they burned our homes, tied up everyone they could. My brother fought them. He was brave, but they shot him in the back." Her voice shook but didn't stop. "They kept me alive. I don't know why. Maybe because I looked young. They sold me to others, first miners, then traders. I scrubbed floors, carried boxes, did anything they told me." Alex clenched his hands, silent, letting her speak. "One day, a man with purple eyes bought me. He said I had ritual blood and gave me to the forest tribe. Said I was a gift to the spirits. That's when the nightmares started." She pulled her knees to her chest, her voice now like a whisper. "They chained me for days, starved me, painted marks on my skin. They told me I would be reborn in fire." Alex moved closer and gently touched her shoulder. "You don't have to go through that again." She nodded slowly, "But I still feel it. The fear, the heat, the pain." He said nothing for a moment, then offered her one of his food packs. "Here, you need strength." She opened it with shaky fingers, sniffed it, then took a bite. Her eyes widened. This is good." Alex smiled a little. "Human food, not much. But it keeps you alive." After eating, Nia looked at him and asked, "Why do humans care so much?" "You don't even know me." Alex leaned back, eyes on the roof of the cave. "We've seen too much pain in our history. We used to hurt each other the same way. Burn, kill, chain. But we learned, slowly, painfully, that it's better to protect than destroy." Nia stared at him, then said softly, "You're different. I thought all off-worlders were cruel." Alex gave her a sideways look. "I'm not here to prove anything. I just couldn't walk away." She smiled weakly. And for the first time, it reached her eyes. A loud snapping sound outside made them both freeze. Alex stood quickly and grabbed his rifle. Naya stayed low, crawling to the cave wall. Her breath was sharp, her eyes wide with fear again. Then, a moment later, silence. A small animal dashed past the entrance, and Alex lowered his weapon. "Just a crawler," he said, relaxing. But the look in Nia's eyes didn't fade. "They're still out there. I know it. I know too," Alex replied. "Which is why we need to move tonight. I have a plan." He took out a small map pad and showed her the path. "There's an old ruin east of here. It has a beacon. I can call for help from there. But it's dangerous, and you'll need to walk." Nia looked at her legs, still bruised and sore. She hesitated, then nodded. "If I stay, they'll find me. If I go, maybe I'll live." "That's the spirit," Alex said, helping her to her feet. She swayed, but didn't fall. He wrapped his cloak around her and strapped a blade to her. Sighed, "You can fight." He asked. "I can try," she replied, voice steady. They looked at the entrance together, the forest glowing green under morning light. "We move at dusk," Alex said. "Until then, rest. We'll need all our strength," as she laid back down. Naya whispered, "Thank you, Alex. Not just for saving me, but for listening." He looked down at her and replied, "Sometimes. Listening is the first way to save someone." Outside, the jungle was waking. But inside the cave, for a brief moment, there was peace. Asterisk dark clouds rolled over the alien sky as evening fell. Alex checked the traps one last time and packed up his small gear. Nia stood near the cave wall, wrapped in his spare cloak, her face calm but pale. Her burns had started to heal, but her legs were still weak. "Are you ready?" Alex asked. Nia nodded. "Yes, I don't want to be found again." They stepped out of the cave just as the first raindrop fell. It was warm and thick, a strange kind of rain Alex had never felt before. The jungle smelled sharp and clean, like burnt fruit and wet stone. The sound of falling water soon filled the forest, washing away their scent and footsteps. "It's a blessing," Alex said. "The rain will hide us." Nia limped forward beside him, one hand on his shoulder for balance. She was slow, but determined. Her eyes stayed alert, scanning the trees. The ground, the shadows, they moved in. Silence for a long time, only the sound of rain and distant thunder above them. Suddenly, Nia stopped. "Look," she whispered, pointing ahead. A broken path, overgrown with vines and moss, curved gently toward the east. "That's it," Alex said, his voice low. "The way to the ruins." They followed it carefully, Alex's boots crunching over wet stone, Nia's feet bare but silent. She winced with each step, but said nothing. After a while, they came across a broken statuette, old humanoid figure with no head, covered in moss. "This place is older than I thought,"
Alex murmured.
"Ancient. Temple lands," Nia said. "My people once feared these forests. They said spirits lived here." "Let's hope the spirits like us," Alex replied with a tired smile. Lightning flashed, and thunder cracked loudly above. Then came a sound that made both of them freeze. A howl, low, long, and not from any animal Alex recognized. "They're tracking us," Nia whispered, fear returning to her eyes. Alex turned and looked into the jungle behind them. Shadows danced between trees, and movement flashed between branches. "We move now," he said, grabbing her hand. "No matter how much it hurts," they ran. Nia stumbled once, then twice, but didn't let go of his hand. Her breath came sharp and fast, but she kept going. The old path led them to a broken stone wall. Vines wrapped through its cracks. Alex kicked it once, then found a spot thin enough to break through. Beyond it lay the ruins, a wide open ground, with shattered columns, cracked stone floors, and a large metal satellite dish half buried in vines and dirt. "There," Alex pointed. "That's the beacon." They ran to it. Alex dropped to his knees and started pulling wires from the base. His fingers worked fast, while rain poured over them. Nia stood near the dish, watching the trees with wide eyes. Every leaf moving made her jump. Every crack of thunder made her flinch. "Hurry," she said, her voice almost a plea. "I know." "Just a few more seconds," Alex replied. Sparks flying from the wires, the beacon came to life. A slow rising hum filling the air. Blue lights lit up around its base, and the dish turned slightly toward the sky. Alex grabbed the control pad and typed a distress signal. "Emergency pickup. Coordinates locked. 2 survivors. Send rescue." He hit send. "It's done," he said, breathing out. "They'll come. Just hold on." But Nia wasn't looking at him. She was looking at the trees. "They're here," she whispered, stepping back. Alex stood quickly, raised his weapon, and saw them. Dozens of eyes, glowing red in the dark, tribal. Aliens, tall and painted, crawling from the shadows, silent and deadly.
Ah.
They didn't scream this time. They didn't chant. They just walked forward with fire in their eyes. Alex stood in front of Naya, aiming his rifle. "I'll hold them off," she said, stepping beside him. "We stand together." The rain poured harder now, washing blood, mud, and fear into the earth. Thunder roared as the first alien rushed forward. Alex fired. The blast lit the ruins, and the battle began. The ruins shook with the sound of gunfire. Alex fired again. The plasma blast hitting a tribal alien in the chest. The enemy fell with a heavy thud, smoke rising from his armor of bone and bark. More came, pouring from the trees like a river of shadows. Their eyes burned red, weapons raised high, painted bodies glowing under the rain. Nia stood beside Alex, holding the broken shock baton he gave her. Her hands trembled, but her eyes stayed strong. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They'll fight until one of us dies." "Then we don't give them the chance," Alex said, voice cold and steady. He stepped forward, took cover behind a stone pillar, and fired again. Each shot was a burst of light and sound, echoing across the old temple ground. Naya stayed behind, eyes scanning for movement. She had no rifle, but she had courage. And she had already lost too much to freeze now. One of the tribal warriors crept along the left wall, nearly invisible in the vines. Nia saw him, shouted, "Left side," and Alex turned in time, blasting the attacker back into the darkness. Then came the fire. The aliens threw small, flaming pots. Bright blue flames bursting across the stone. The heat was sudden and violent, burning through the wet vines and igniting parts of the ruin. "We have to move," Alex shouted. "They're trying to trap us." He grabbed Nia's hand and pulled her deeper into the ruins, toward the central platform where the beacon glowed in the rain. "Cover me," he said. "I'm going to boost the signal." Naya stood tall, her small body lit by the burning light. She held her shock baton close and watched the shadows. Alex dropped to his knees at the beacon base, sparks and steam rising as he rewired the old tech. Suddenly, a tribal alien rushed from the fire, roaring, a blade in hand, aimed straight at Alex's back. Nia didn't wait. She screamed and ran forward. The shock baton held tight with a burst of fear and rage. She slammed it into the alien's chest. Electric current shot through him, and he dropped instantly. Alex turned, saw her shaking, and gave her a nod. "You're a fighter." She gave a small, broken smile. "I don't want to be a victim again." More enemies came, the fire around them making it hard to breathe. Alex fired again and again, the rifle glowing hot, but it wasn't enough. "They're surrounding us," he said, eyes scanning the corners. "Too many." Nia looked at the beacon, then at the old crates nearby, broken and rusted, but still full of forgotten supplies. "I have an idea," she said, running to the crates inside. She found a canister marked with a red flame symbol. She didn't know what it was, but she knew it was dangerous. She rolled it toward the beacon and yelled, "Alex, shoot it when I say." "What?" "Trust me." The tribal aliens moved in fast, their chants rising, drums beating in the distance again. Nia waited until the first one stepped on the platform, then screamed, "Now!" Alex aimed and fired. The canister exploded in a blast of fire and wind, throwing enemies across the ruins. The flames burned higher, forcing the others to fall back in fear. The beacon survived, though blackened, still blinking with a soft blue light. Smoke filled the air, mixing with rain, burning plants, and blood. Alex crawled to Nia, who had fallen from the blast but was alive. "You okay?" She coughed but nodded, still breathing. The forest was silent again. The remaining tribal aliens had vanished into the dark, the fire too much even for them. Alex and Nia sat on the stone, soaked, wounded, and exhausted. Above them, the beacon. Flashed faster now, a sign that someone had received the signal. "We made it through the night," Alex whispered. "Just barely," Nia replied. Resting her head on his shoulder, the rain kept falling, soft and endless, but now it felt like peace. For now, they had survived. The fire still burned low around. The ruins, small blue flames dancing on the stone floor. Alex leaned against a cracked pillar, holding his side. Blood soaked through the torn fabric of his uniform. His arm felt heavy, and his breath came in short. Shallow gasps. Nia knelt beside him, her face full of worry. Her hands trembled as she opened the small medkit Alex had carried. She didn't know much about human wounds, but she had watched him patch her up. Now it was her turn. "Don't move," she whispered, her voice tight with fear. Alex smiled weakly, not planning to. She pressed a healing patch over his side, and he winced, biting back a groan. Rain poured around them. But inside the circle of broken stone, there was a strange quiet. "Will the rescue come?" Nia asked softly. Alex looked up at the beacon, still blinking. "It's working. They'll come, but we have to hold on until then." Nia nodded, but her eyes stayed on his face. "You saved me," she said. "Twice now. You saved me back." He replied, "That blast you set off, clever move." She gave a small smile, then looked down at her hands. "I didn't know it would work. I just didn't want you to die." A heavy silence followed. Not awkward, but full of unspoken thoughts. Alex reached out and touched her hand gently. "You're not a slave anymore, Nia. You're free now." She looked at him, eyes shining. "Then let me stay by your side." "You don't owe me anything," he said. "I know," she whispered, "but I want to." Thunder rumbled again, and the wind picked up. The trees swayed in the distance, but no movement came from the jungle. The tribal aliens were gone for now. Alex leaned back against the stone and closed his eyes. "I've seen war, fire, death, but what happened to you? That's worse. What they did to you, no one deserves that." Nia reached out, gently brushing his hair away from his eyes. "Then promise me something. Anything." He replied without opening his eyes. "Promise me. If we live through this, you'll take me with you wherever you go." Alex opened his eyes and met her gaze. "I promise." She nodded, and for the first time in years, she felt something she didn't know she could feel again. Hope. The storm grew stronger outside the ruins, and they both crawled under the stone overhang to stay dry. Nia leaned against his shoulder. "Do you have a family back on Earth?" Alex stared at the sky, his voice soft. "I did. Lost them during the colony wars. Haven't called any place home since." "Maybe you can find one now," she said. "With me?" Alex didn't answer right away, but his hand found hers, and didn't let go. Hours passed slowly, but the pain in Alex's side grew worse. His head dropped, and his eyes fluttered closed. "Alex," Nia asked, shaking him gently. "Alex, stay awake," he groaned. "Just tired." "No," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "You can't sleep yet." "You promised." He forced his eyes open, breathing hard. "Right?" "I promised." Nia stood and searched the ruins again. She found a metal shard, sharpened on one edge. She held it like a blade and stood near the entrance, ready to protect him. Every sound made her heart jump. Every shadow looked like death. But she didn't back down. She was no longer the girl on the fire spit, no longer the silent slave. She was Nia, the one who lived, the one who fought back, and she would not lose him now, far above the forest. Hidden in the clouds, a light blinked, a small dot growing larger by the second. The rescue ship had entered the atmosphere. The beacon had done its job. The clouds parted with a sharp blast of wind as the rescue ship descended. Its engines roared like thunder across the jungle. Trees bent from the force, and dust spun high into the air. Nia stood on the ruined platform, her hair whipping around her face. She held one hand high, waving wildly, and the other gripped the edge of Alex's shirt where he lay beside the beacon. Half-conscious and pale, "They're here," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Hold on, Alex." The ship's ramp opened with a hiss, and armed medics rushed out. Their armor bore the symbol of the Terran Alliance. One of them shouted, "We've got 2 survivors." They moved fast, carrying a stretcher and medical gear. Nia stepped back as they lifted Alex carefully, placing tubes and scanners on his body. "He's lost a lot of blood," one medic said, "but his vitals are holding." Nia's knees buckled with relief, and she sat down on the cold stone floor. Another soldier approached her. "Are you injured?" "I'm fine," she said, then paused. "No, I'm not fine, but I'm alive." The medic nodded and helped her stand. She looked back one last time at the ruins, at the broken stones, the faint smoke, and the dark jungle. That nightmare was behind her now. She climbed onto the ship as the ramp rose. The engines flared again, and the ship lifted into the clouds, carrying them away from the planet that had nearly become their grave. Alex woke days later in a clean white room filled with soft beeping sounds. At first, everything was blurry, but then he saw a familiar face, Nia. She sat beside him, her arm in a sling, her eyes full of tears, but her smile bright like starlight. "You made it," she whispered, touching his hand. He squeezed back weakly. "Told you I would. You promised," she said, laughing through tears. Doctors came and checked his vitals. They said he would recover fully in time. Nia was given temporary refugee status by the Terran Alliance, but Alex made sure it didn't stay temporary. "I want her listed as part of my crew," he told the officers. "She's not just a survivor. She's the reason I'm still alive." They agreed, and soon Nia stood proudly beside him in simple but clean clothes. Her body still carried scars, but now she also carried confidence. Weeks passed, and they were transferred to a deep space station near Earth's outer orbit. Nia spent her days learning human customs, language, and technology. She asked questions about everything from forks and pillows to starships and poetry. Alex was always patient, always ready to explain. Sometimes she would walk beside him in silence, then suddenly say, "Your people feel a lot. You talk with your hearts, not just your mouths." Alex smiled. "So do you." One evening, they sat near the observation window, staring at the stars beyond. Nia spoke softly. "You said you had no home." "That's true," he replied. "Too many battles. Too many losses." She turned to him. "Then let me be your home." He looked at her, surprised. "You mean that?" "I mean it," she said. "You saved me, not just from them, but from myself. From fear, from silence. You gave me a name again, a voice." Alex reached for her hand, held it gently. "You gave me something too, a reason to keep going." Their hands stayed locked as the stars moved slowly beyond the glass. Months later, Alex was cleared for duty again, but this time he didn't take a new mission right away. Instead, he used his soldier's reward to buy a small home on a quiet moon colony. It was simple, with 2 rooms, a garden, and a clear view of the night sky. There, he and Nia built a new life. She planted flowers, sang alien songs in the evening, and cooked strange meals that somehow tasted good. He fixed machines, wrote old stories, and taught her how to fly small shuttles. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they cried, but they always healed together. The pain didn't vanish, but it didn't control them anymore. One day, a neighbor's child asked, "Is she your wife?" Alex looked at Nia, who blushed softly and looked away. He smiled. "Not yet." Nia looked up, her voice light as air. "Maybe soon, and together." They watched the sun set over their new beginning. A human soldier, once lost in duty, an alien girl, once burned and broken, now two souls stitched together by courage and a single promise kept.